Hello and welcome. In this episode, we'll be going through the very next poem in my book of original poetry called Maybe Someday that I wrote in 2020 and 2021 when I was 17 and 18 years old, um, writing to help me sort of cope with the things I was struggling with at the time and helping me to make sense of all that and get to a better place in life. And this book is kind of the beginning of that journey for me. And so it's got a lot of my story and a lot of those things I was dealing with um, at the time, and was a way for me to start expressing that stuff so I can um, deal with it outside of me and be able to overcome it and everything. So this is the next poem we'll be doing in the book called Unfinishing Touches. So, as I always do with these poems, I will just start by sharing the poem with you, reading it out. And then afterwards, we'll kind of go into the more specific meaning and story behind it that I have. And like why this specific poem is special to me and how it helped me at the time. And hopefully, through that, you'll be able to find some way that it could help you or connect with you in some way. So we'll just get into it. Here is Unfinishing Touches. I look at all these things I've written, all these things that I have done, and I keep thinking to myself, are they ever really done? What makes these things completed? Is there more I could have done? Can I make all these things better if I just give a bit more? So I keep on adding these unfinishing touches, but they'll never be complete. They will never be complete. I think about this poem and all the ways it could be different, the endless possibilities, and all the ways it could be better. Just a simple thought turned into something bigger. But just because it's big doesn't mean that it can't grow. Can I take my thoughts a little farther? Will it be complete with one more verse? Should I keep on adding on more details, or will that just make it worse? I keep on adding these unfinishing touches, but it'll never be complete. It will never be complete. For many years I've lived, and many years I will live more, but there's so much I haven't done, and so much that I don't know. Can I break from the confines that exist in my life? Can I live the life I want? Can I ever reach all of my goals, or will I then just want much more? Should I try to live the way I am, or is it better if I change? I want to truly see myself, but I lack so many pieces. Pieces I must find, pieces I must arrange. But will I ever understand it all? Understand it all before I keep on adding these unfinishing touches, but I'll never be complete. I will never be complete. I will never. I will never. I will never. I will never. So that was Unfinishing Touches. I hope that you enjoyed that and maybe found something in there, some piece of my words there that could connect to a piece of you in some way at least. And that, hopefully maybe there was something that kind of stood out to you there or anything specifically that you liked or related to there. And as always, if there was, I'd love to hear about that. So you're always welcome to share in the comments any thoughts or stories or anything that you have based on my writing. And I'll look forward to seeing that if you do. And so now we'll kind of get into what it means to me and the kind of story behind why I wrote this and the sort of impact it's had for me. So this poem kind of comes from a place of like perfectionism and sometimes even maybe a bit of like OCD kind of behaviors and stuff that I was really struggling a lot with, um, like at that time and for a lot of my life. Um, and it kind of goes through three main things in like each stanza it has there, and I'll kind of go through each of those one by one here in a little bit. But um, yeah, it's just that kind of idea of unfinishing touches. Like I always feel like there's more I could be doing, and nothing's ever good enough. And I should just keep on pushing more and doing more and trying to make things better infinitely to strive for that perfection. But it, like, perfection doesn't exist. I'll never get there. I'm just like continuously searching for something I'll never find, and can never just be content with things being good enough, or um, like just kind of left as is. I always needed that perfection and never felt like I was good enough or anything I did was good enough because it wasn't perfect. And of course, that's never a healthy way to be thinking, and really made me suffer a lot at the time, and was part of why I was in such a dark place internally at that time. And writing this was kind of the beginning of recognizing that problem. It didn't necessarily like help me immediately overcome it or anything, but as with just about any problem, I think kind of recognizing the problem and accepting that that is an existent problem is kind of the first step in overcoming it. And so that's kind of what I did with this. So if we kind of look at that first stanza there, that one is like in general kind of about just the work I do. I mean, like I was in high school at the time that I wrote this, and this happened a lot with my schoolwork and things, where I would look at all this work I had done, all like the assignments I'd done, and all these grades I'd earned, and all that, and just never felt like it was good enough. And like when I'd maybe have like this essay I have to write, I would have like written it out, but then I'm like, it's still not good enough. It's not long enough. I need to add more. I need to keep editing and do more and more because I needed that perfect essay. I couldn't settle for just it being good enough or an A worthy essay. It had to like go above and beyond, and felt like I always needed to just give that little bit more, and it was never really complete. And so then I just keep adding these, um, like the title's kind of a play on that, like thing of finishing touches. Like you're just adding the finishing touches on it, the final little bit to complete it. And I just keep adding those finishing touches, but it wouldn't be the end after that because I'd have to add more finishing touches and more finishing touches. So that's kind of where I got this idea of unfinishing touches, because it never really was the end. It was these touches that I'd add on to the end that wouldn't actually finish it for me, because once I reached one point, there's always that next step I could take. And I found it really hard to not take that extra step sometimes, and realize that it's okay to just be good enough and not the absolute best and perfect. And I mean, there's that part in there just kind of questioning, like, are they ever really done? What makes these things completed? And just not knowing that, like, not knowing where that end goal was, like, really scared me a lot and overwhelmed me. Like, how do I know when to stop? Like, can I ever stop? Because I needed to reach that point of like true finality and um, greatness and whatever, and just wasn't healthy. So then it kind of goes into specifically about um, like poetry. Like that first one was a bit more general, or things I'm working on and stuff, and then this one kind of goes into specifically writing. And like with this poem, how I was like as I was writing it, even kind of exploring this concept, I realized I was falling into these habits of mine, like the perfectionistic habits and stuff, and was kind of obsessing on how I could make the poem better. Like after I had written some of it up to that point, I was like thinking that it wasn't good enough, and there are these ways it could kind of be written better or expressed differently to get the idea across more, and um, that maybe this whole concept overall is just not the right thing I should be doing. Maybe it's all wrong, and I just need to start over and all this stuff. And kind of, even as I was trying to explore this concept, was kind of getting stuck in it. And that did kind of lead me to wanting to challenge myself to not make this perfect. And even looking at it now, I see those sort of imperfections within it, and things that even now I'm thinking like, oh, I should have done that differently, or that could have been written a little better. But as sort of a challenge to myself after, like as I was writing that second one and realizing what I was doing here, I challenged myself to not go back and change anything, and just left it as the original thing I wrote, which I think was kind of a cool thing here, and definitely a tough challenge for me. And actually, like after I wrote this for a while, concept wise, I really liked this, but I just didn't like it for a while because it was quite imperfect in a way, and um, just yeah, just kind of unsettled me a bit because I didn't like the fact that I didn't obsess over this one so much and try to perfect it to myself, and just kind of left it as it was in that raw form it was originally written in. Um, and so yeah, I just felt like I should keep adding more to this and keep editing and so on. But also kind of beginning to realize that, as I say there, should I keep on adding more details, or will that just make it worse? Like exploring this idea of changing the poem, adding to it, and expanding on these things I'm saying, but then realizing maybe if I like try to perfect it too much, or just put way too much extra filler stuff or whatever just to make it feel better to me, then maybe that'll end up like taking away from the value of it. Maybe it needs to just be that like core raw version of itself, and that'll be the highest quality form of it. But regardless of that, I still felt like I was always having to add these unfinishing touches, and like things would never truly be complete. So then in the final section there, it goes into thinking about myself and like my own life. And I think of all these things I've done and the life I've lived so far, and feeling like I will never be good enough. Like it's going beyond the things I'm doing and the things I'm creating. Now I'm doubting whether I'm good enough and I'll ever be able to um, reach those goals that I want in my life. Kind of as I talked about last time in the previous poem, Confined, how I felt like I had all these hopes and dreams and stuff within me that I just couldn't bring out. And again, that idea is kind of coming up where I have all these goals for myself and I feel like I'll never truly be able to reach them. And, or like, even if I'm able to reach some of them, I won't reach all of them, or I won't reach them to quite the extent and level that I would hope for. And just feeling like I will never be enough. So then there's that part where I say that I want to truly see myself, but I lack so many pieces. Pieces I must find, pieces I must arrange. And of course, that kind of relates to like if you're familiar around here, there's that thing I always say of like we're all broken and we're just arranging the pieces, and that connects to like some of the first, like the first poem I ever wrote, and then sort of my like main like motto sort of poem or whatever, called Arranging the Pieces. And so there's kind of that level to it, but also just, yeah, recognizing that I want to reach that point where I feel like I'm like truly myself and the best version of myself, and recognize that there's a lot I have to do to reach that. But and like wanting to do put in that work to reach that level I want with myself, but again, because of like past experiences with trying to sort of perfect things, knowing that no matter how much I obsess on this and try to take um, more and more steps toward that, I will never reach that point. So I'm starting to fear that I will never understand it all, as I say there, and I will never reach that version of myself I want to be before. And like in there it says like before, and then leaves it blank, and that's supposed to lead to like before I die, or like something along those lines, but just fearing that like end of like my death, because that's like an end point that could restrict me from reaching the levels I want, and just fearing that so much that I can't even say it there. So then again, I feel like with myself and in my life that I was constantly adding these unfinishing touches, even though I'll never truly be complete, and just kind of feeling hopeless because of that. And then it just kind of ends there, repeating like I will never, and then eventually it kind of fading off. And what I kind of like about that is like then like I'm like saying how I will never be complete, and all these things will never be complete. But and I also kind of just leave the poem hanging there. Even the poem itself was never complete. The final word was never said. Um, and I don't know. I just thought that was kind of a fun little detail I put there that kind of added to the whole thing for me. And I hope that there was maybe something within that poem that you could connect with, or something I said that could maybe be helpful to you, or just reflect some sort of thing you may be dealing with or have been dealing with, or just some part of you in some way. And that this poem can, yeah, help you in some way, sort of how it did to me. And even if not, I just, of course, hope that you enjoyed and appreciate you being here. And so next time, we'll be going through my poem called Too Loose. And yeah, I hope to see you there next week. And of course, if you want to see any of the past videos I've done, they're all like here on my channel. And yeah, would love to have you here if you'd like to like stick around here and subscribe and continue on this journey with me. But yeah, anyway, as always, just remember that we're all broken and we're just arranging the pieces. Thank you.